The world of Runeterra might be one of the most fascinating and intricate fantasy settings in modern gaming. While League of Legends is commonly associated with its wildly popular competitive scene, Riot Games have been taking great strides in recent years to flesh out their world and the characters that reside within, even going so far as to reboot the entire story in 2015. While this push for a deeper narrative has been widely appreciated by the game's lore community, the results have been controversial at times. With a retconned world came the need to retcon characters. Riot has made a substantial effort in the last few years to reimagine the backstories of League's iconic champions to fit them into the new lore, but not every change has been met with positive feedback. Let's face it, no writer is perfect and hindsight is 2020. So a number of characters throughout the years have been left with less than stellar backstories compared to most of the roster. Still, it is my firm belief that criticism should always be supplemented with suggestions and feedback for improvement, which is what we're here to discuss today. Hello and welcome to Runeterra Rewrites, a series in which I'll be offering my own takes on League's most controversial stories and champions. My aim is simple: to propose alternative versions of these stories that better match the characters' themes and concepts, without needing to alter anything regarding their in-game designs or voice lines. With all that being said, please sit back, relax, and let us begin, shall we? Taken into the Sentinels of Light at an early age, Akshan spent most of his life learning the Order's creed, to protect the innocent from the forces of evil. Now, however, Akshan has all but abandoned that creed to save one life in particular, and gallantly punishes all villains who dare to stand in his way. Akshan spent his early days living on the streets of Marwi, a place where injustice ran rampant. Shuriman warlords and would-be emperors took what they wanted, fought over territory, and more often than not spilled innocent blood in the crossfire. Akshan's own parents were lost in one such blood feud before he even knew their faces. But even so, the boy displayed a strong sense of justice from an early age. Whenever Akshan saw others in trouble, he raced to intervene without hesitation, even at the cost of his own well-being. Though his opponents were often larger, stronger, and better trained, Akshan made use of his cunning and knowledge of the local streets to outwit and embarrass the soldiers that threatened his own town, even inspiring a small following from some other local youths. Akshan's days of glory came to a swift end, however, when he provoked the ire of one warlord known simply as the Hornet, who had the boy tracked down and beaten within an inch of his life in the very streets where Akshan thought himself invincible. As his life faded, the last thing Akshan saw was a brilliant flash of light before darkness consumed him. When Akshan woke, he found himself resting in a warm bed, his wounds being tended to by an older woman who introduced herself as Shadia. Shadia was adorned in strange attire unlike anything Akshan had ever seen, and when he questioned her about it, Shadia told him that she belonged to a special order devoted to fighting evil, the Sentinels of Light. Akshan was immediately intrigued, and after much insistence, finally convinced Shadia to take him on as an apprentice. His training began as soon as his injuries were healed, and from that moment on, Akshan's life was changed forever. Akshan quickly proved himself to be a difficult student, but Shadia saw the potential for something greater within him. She taught him how to fight, told him the history of the Sentinels, and eventually trained him to use his very own relic weapon, which he dubbed the Revengerang. Together, the two fought for years to protect Marwi and other neighboring territories from Shurima's many warlords, and even forged a bond akin to family. However, as time passed, Shadia's temperament began to change. She explained that the Shadow Isles, the realm of the undead, were gathering in strength. A harrowing was coming, the biggest Runeterra had ever seen, and the warlords of Shurima were a trivial matter by comparison. she would need to travel north and meet with the Sentinels of Valoran to face the coming threat, or all would be lost to darkness. Akshan was eager to accompany her, but Shadia forbade him from tagging along. Instead, she tasked Akshan with safeguarding the Shuriman Sentinel vaults and the relic weapons hidden within. They argued for well over an hour before Shadia finally led Akshan into the vault's deepest chamber. There, he fell silent, beholding a peculiar relic weapon hidden by a secret door. This, Shadia told him, was the Absolver, a weapon crafted by the Sentinels with the aid of an ancient Shuriman deity. It was a relic unlike any other, capable of stealing light from its targets and bestowing it unto others. For reasons unbeknownst to him, Akshan felt a strange sense of familiarity gazing upon the weapon, but Shadia informed him that it must not be taken from the vaults, lest its power be used for wicked ends. With that, Shadia bid Akshan farewell, assuring her people that she would return in due time. Begrudgingly, Akshan watched her leave, though he would not stay idle for long. Barely a day had passed before Akshan decided to set out after his mentor, intent on proving his worth as a Sentinel. Despite Shadia's warnings, he snatched the Absolver from the vault and began tracking her across the desert. He kept a certain distance, always staying a day or two behind so as to keep Shadia from discovering him. However, as Akshan tailed his mentor, troubling signs began to surface that he wasn't the only one to do so. Over the years, he and Shadia had made many powerful enemies, and now someone was seeking revenge. Akshan hastened his pursuit, but by the time he finally caught up to Shadia, it was too late. In the dead of night, under a clouded half-moon, he found Shadia doing battle with a mysterious figure wielding a wicked blade. Akshan arrived just in time to witness the conclusion of the struggle, in which the stranger cut Shadia with their weapon and fled into the night. Akshan hurried to Shadia's side, only to find her in a cold sleep from which she would not wake. With no other option available to him, Akshan attempted to use the power of the Absolver to save her, but to no avail. Shadia still drew breath, but nothing he did could rouse her from her slumber. The wound left by the stranger's blade was as black as the deepest shadow, and it quickly became apparent that there was some foul magic at play. Akshan carried Shadia to the closest shelter he could find, an abandoned tomb in the nearby mountains. There, he laid her to rest inside an empty sarcophagus, and swore an oath to her that he would track down the fiend responsible for cursing her, and make them rouse her from this death-like sleep. Now, Akshan scours the war-torn regions of Shurima, hunting down scoundrels across the land in pursuit of the one with the cursed blade, all while dispensing justice with the fabled Absolver along the way.